Look, the question coming in were how these two were going to fit on the floor for obvious reasons. They both like the ball. But how much better does Harden, Nick, fit with Westbrook than he did with Chris Paul?
Oh, he doesn't fit better. Westbrook's just a far better player, so it offsets. The fit is not perfect.
I still don't think so.
No. And I don't think it'll ever be perfect. I think it'll be better than it's been the first few games where they're taking turns early in the game, and most of those turns are going to James Harden. And Harden's shot has not been falling so far this year. The free throw line is what bolstered in last night. He had 21 of 22 from the line, including some clutch free throws late. But this team is so much more capable of instilling fear in the opposition because they do have a second legitimate superstar. But, I mean, the Duncan Robinson fit wasn't perfect. People always say Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward of all time. As soon as David Robinson left that team, he played center the rest of his career because he's a true center. These two guys, the fit's not ideal, but Russ is a top 10 player in the league, and Chris Paul last year was not a top 35 player in the league. So I don't think the fit's ideal. I think they will find a way to make it work, and they will learn each other's rhythms. And D'Antoni, it's going to be his job to stagger them the best that he can. But the Rockets are a better team just because of the influx of talent and youth, and that, which of course was not in Chris Paul's repertoire.
Right. First of all, I don't know if Houston's a better team. They have a better backcourt with Harden and Westbrook because of, at this stage of his career, Russ is a better player than Chris Paul. It's not a fair comparison to Chris Paul.
Of course.
Now, if you take them at the same age, when Chris Paul, and if you put the ball in Chris Paul's hand and you don't let James Harden be as ball dominant as he is, then we might have some type of conversation. But there is no fit for James Harden. The way they've developed this system in Houston, there is no. Look at all the elite guards that you have in the league. Unless a guard is willing to stand in the corner and wait his turn, that's the only fit for James Harden. Now, the pace that they're playing at right now, the Houston Rockets, it's a pace that we haven't seen since the ABA. And the only reason why they're playing at that pace is because Russ gets the ball and they go with it. That's why Russ fits in. But once they slow it down, Russ is not a half-court sensation. When the ball gets in the half-court, he's not a superstar. In transition, he is a superstar.
Well, last night at the end of the game, I think you started to see some of the things Russ can do in the half court with a team with legitimate spacing. The most critical play of the game last night, Russ drove to the basket, drew the attention at the rim, kicked it to P.J. Tucker, who hit what was essentially the game-clinching three-pointer. Russ might be at his best in the moving up and down the court in transition. I still think he's a superstar offensively in the half court, especially now that he has requisite shooters around him. But Chris, you said you don't know if they have a better team, but they have a better backcourt. Well, the rest of the team's the exact same.
Well, I mean, I need to see them together. I mean, is Harden in crunch time? Will he let Russ drive to the hole? Because he wouldn't let Chris Paul do that.
Right.
One of the big things was late in games, there was no type of continuity, and Chris Paul was not allowed to have the ball. So, yeah, you make a good point as far as in last night's game. But when we get to the playoffs, because the regular season means nothing to this team, all right? They've been close enough. They will be judged based on, are they able to get to a Western Conference final? So in those situations, will Harden defer? Because I watched last night's game, and Russ, to me, is deferring, especially early in the game, to Harden. Harden's pounding it, pounding it. So to me, there is no fit there. What is the coaching staff going to do to develop some off-the-ball action? To me, that's up to the head coach to be able to get the best out of these two.
Okay, so maybe it's not an ideal fit, but have you seen enough to know that at least it's going to eventually lead to a winning formula? It's eventually going to get them to the playoffs where they want to be?
Well, listen, the Rockets have an excellent roster. They've got a top 5 player in Harden and another top 10, top 12 player in Russ. Chris is right in that they've done everything that a team can do in the regular season. They've won it. They've had their guy win a league MVP. They've led the NBA in scoring. They've been the #1 overall seed. It is going to be determined as successful by what they do in the playoffs. But I think the Rockets are without question, going to be better this year than they were last year. I don't think Harden's going to have to average 36 a game, which is what he did last year, in order to get them. He's trying to. Well, listen, he has not adjusted his game really at all, it would appear. Russ has adjusted, I would argue, to his
And why is that? And why wouldn't James Harden adjust? Russ has come over from OKC. We knew Chris Paul. Why hadn't Harden adjusted?
Well, maybe Harden will adjust, but up to this point, I think Harden, his mentality is what I've done has been wildly successful.
But they haven't won anything.
Right, but you're talking about, will he adjust in the postseason? I don't know. In the regular season,
I doubt if a player is going to adjust in the postseason after playing the regular season the way they played the last straight 5 regular seasons. You would think right now would be the time that he would acquiesce. Hey, Russ, I'm going to give you a little more. Let's see how this works out. But that mentality right there, that's why I don't think that they're better. At least they had a system that they were able to get close enough to Golden State. What's going to be their system now? Oh, I'm just getting ready to take it. Russ is a sidekick. To me, Russ is not mentality of a sidekick. And I believe ultimately that will be a problem.
Leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.